Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Good morning to you. You live in a shoe. In case you're watching it in the morning and not in the evening. It is 1:10 a.m. On Saturday night, and I am wide awake. Not because I'm drinking my coffee, of which I still have some left, but I took a deep nap tonight with the pups, and we were all out like a light. We slept so good tonight. All three of the pups and me, we were crashed out completely. And Alex went tonight to a haunted house with Melissa and Jason and Aaron and Eric, and but it wasn't until late, so he left the house at like 10 o'clock. He took a nap when we got home tonight, and I'll talk about that in a second, but he took a nap from like 8 to like 9:45, and then he got up and left about 10 and went over to Melissa and Jason's, and then they drove, because it was in Fountain Square, which is like south of downtown, and they went to this haunted, I guess it was like this, what was it called? Like it was this experience, I don't know, like, it wasn't just like a haunted house like you walked through. It was like, I don't know, and then it became an escape room or something. I don't know. But anyway, they said it wasn't really that scary, and that they were kind of laughing, and that people jumped out at you, but like only a couple times and whatever. I don't like the people jumping out at you and grabbing you and stuff like that. I do not like that. And I haven't done haunted houses in a long time. And in fact, when I was a little kid, I didn't like haunted houses then either, which is really weird because I like scary movies and I love scary stuff and scary books. But when I was a little kid, we would go to the Children's Museum haunted house here in town, and it's like on a level of 1 to 10 scariness, it's probably a 3 anyway. But my mom would always take me through on this one day that you could go through with like the lights on. You could walk through the haunted house with the lights on, and that would be the day that I would go through. And we would dress in like you could dress in costumes and go through it that day. But they also had this witch line. So the witch would like come to our school from the Children's Museum. I don't know how I remember this, but she would come to the school and she was dressed like a witch, and she would talk about like all of the Halloween things that they had, interactive experience. That's what I was talking about with thinking that was the word I meant to look for. That was the word I meant to say when I was talking about the thing that they went to tonight. I don't even know if it was a haunted house. It was just like a scary experience or something. But anyway, this witch used to come to our elementary school, and she'd be like, ha, 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 ha. You know, I mean, it wasn't like a super scary witch or anything like that. And then she would give out these little pieces of paper, and they would talk about like the haunted house on it, and it had this like number that you could call, right? And the number was like, you would call it, and it would say, it was like this, the message was by the witch, and so when you called it, it was like, ha, 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 ha. And I can remember, because we had this like porch, this, I've talked about this on here before, but at the end of our house, we had this porch. It was actually like a room in our house. It wasn't like a screened-in porch or anything. It was like a room, but we called it a porch. And it had green carpeting and white brick walls and floor to ceiling windows on 3 sides of literally every wall was a window that cranked out from the floor to the ceiling, and then we had a bunch of plants out there and stuff. But I would sit on this yellow couch that we had up against this table, and we had this yellow phone, like rotary phone, and I would like dial, and I would call like the witch. And I was like, I loved it so much. I would call her, and it was just a recording, and you could talk to the witch, you could just listen to the witch or something. I don't know, but I used to do that. But that was about as like scary experiences as I ever did. I don't know if I ever did like some haunted house experience and I got really, really scared and I hated it. I feel like I must have, but I don't know what it would have been. I don't remember doing it. My friend was talking about, I really want to do this. So for those of you that are in Louisville, Kentucky, I'm really jealous. And next year we're going to do this. But apparently in Louisville, Kentucky, my friend actually, she went and did it. She and her boyfriend and another couple went down there and did it. There was, this whole thing that they did. I was so jealous when she told me, and she's like friends with these 2 gay guys, and she's like, well, you and Alex could have gone too. So anyway, she was like, I mean, we could have taken more than just one gay couple. I was like, okay, girl. But anyway, so so they went down there, and it was like this, you walk through this like wooded area, like these woods, and it's like it's some park in Louisville, Kentucky, and they have just like literally like thousands of jack-o'-lanterns lit up. You can look it up online. If you look up jack-o'-lantern something Louisville, Kentucky, the pictures are amazing. And she was showing me pictures where they had done like the man on the moon, and it was like on the pumpkin. They have like all these people that do, like interns do these pumpkins, but then it's like 30 people that do all the other pumpkins, and they're like extremely artistic pumpkins, and they're up in the trees, and they're sitting, I mean, it's amazing. It's like an installation art piece with jack-o'-lanterns, and she said it was incredible. She said it was absolutely, she had never seen anything like it in her life. So next year I want to do that. I think it's called the Jack-o'-lantern Walk or something like that. But anyway, yeah, I can't remember. We used to do the Conner Prairie Hayride, but that's not scary. I can't remember a haunted house that I would have gone to that would have scared me, because I don't go and do that stuff. I think maybe it's just I've heard people, you know, say how scary it is. So anyway, they went to that. And then I had been like laying down, but I came to take a nap later than Alex because I was doing some stuff around the house. So when he got up, I like got up with him, and I was like talking to him, and the dogs were up, and I took them out. And then when he left, I went back to sleep, and I had planned to just sleep for another hour and do a live stream, but I crashed so hard. I slept so good. The dogs were completely asleep. The 3 dogs and myself were just crashed out for days. And so, yeah, I got up at like 11:30, and I was like, I'm not doing a live stream now. It's kind of late, and I don't think I want to do it now. So anyway, I made the bed and kind of straightened things up and I got dressed to come and vlog. And then Melissa and Alex and Jason called me on speakerphone, and they were telling me all about it, and they were like, it really wasn't that scary, and we were laughing and stuff, and you should go next year. So I was like, okay, next year I'll go if I can handle it. So anyway, and then I left to go vlog, but I wanted to talk to Mel from the book club. She's my dear friend, Mel. But anyway, I wanted to talk to Mel about the live stream tomorrow. So we have a live stream tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the book club, Peter's Book Club, to discuss the October book, which was Mel's pick for her birthday, and it is The Iceman, Confessions of a Mafia Hitman, about Richard Kuklinski. And I've talked about it a little bit on here. I'm so behind on this book, you guys. I've literally, like, every free moment that I had today, I was listening to the book. The problem is that last night, as you know from my vlog, I fell asleep and I slept through the majority of the night when I was going to listen to the audiobook. And had I been able to do that, I would have been able to finish it. But today I was like, there's no way I'm going to finish this book. I mean, there's just not enough hours in the day unless I literally listen to it for like 10 hours straight. So I was like, there's just no way that well, not 10 hours straight, but I think I have like, I don't know how many hours I have left of it. She was actually surprised I was further along than I was. But there's no way I can finish the book by tomorrow. So I was like, you're going to have to take the reins on and lead the live stream tomorrow. And I'll just kind of sit there and say what I think about certain pieces of it, but I haven't finished it. The thing that makes me kind of sad about it is, and I'll finish the book, but it's really good. Like, had it not been for, you know, I finished Spookathon, and then on the heels of that, did I read something else right after Spookathon? I feel like I did. No, I went right into this book. But, you know, going out of town and all this kind of stuff, and I was wanting to watch movies on the plane instead of listening to the audiobook, and so times that I could have listened to it, I just didn't. But it's really good. Like, it's really, really interesting because I didn't know anything about him. I feel like Oprah or somebody, like Geraldo, did this, like, maybe it was on HBO, I don't remember. There was like this intensive interview that was done with him, and it was like a 3-part series or something. I can see him sitting there in my head doing this interview. So he was this guy that was a hitman for the mafia, but he was basically like a serial killer. Although Mel and I were talking about that, and she was like, I just think that he had like anger problems. She said severe anger problems. And I was like, he had no respect for human life whatsoever. I mean, he had none. no respect for human life whatsoever. And it was like a game to him. It was a hunt. And, so I don't know, like they describe him as a serial killer in the book, and we were talking about that. So anyway, just kind of what we thought about it. But I was asking her some questions about stuff that happens later in the book, because I'm like, I want to know about this now, because I'm not going to get to that part before tomorrow. So we were talking about that, and then we were just talking about some other stuff. And we ended up talking for like an hour on the phone. And so yeah, so there was that, and then now I'm vlogging. And Mel said to me on the phone, we were talking, and she goes, well, what time is it tomorrow? And I said 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She goes, well, you're on daylight savings time, aren't you? And I said, yeah, so what's your point? Basically is what I said. And she goes, isn't it tonight? And I go, is it? And so she looked it up, and it's tonight. So we looked, it's tonight. So in 40 minutes, I think it's fall back. So this is so weird. When I was growing up, where I live in Indiana, was not on, like, we didn't change times. We weren't daylight savings time. We just like stayed the same time all through the year. We never changed. I don't ever remember, like this just started, I can't remember how long ago it was, 5-10 years ago, that we started doing daylight savings time, where time changed. So when I was growing up, maybe it was longer than that, I don't know. Everything in Indiana has changed in the last 10 years, it feels like. We now, like, my entire time growing up, you could never buy alcohol on Sundays in Indiana. Now you can buy alcohol on Sundays. But it's only through certain times. So there was like all these like rules that I grew up with in Indiana that, you know, now have changed over time. But anyway, we're now a state that does daylight savings time, or an area. So I think it's spring forward in the spring and fall back in the fall. So I think that at 2 o'clock, well, we'll know because I'll be vlogging. So I think at 2 o'clock, which is in 39 minutes, it will go back to, well, it just stays 2 o'clock, right? Or does it go back to 1? Fall back. I think it falls back to 1 at 2 o'clock. I don't know, we're gonna find out, right? How do I not know that? Or does it, like, at 3 o'clock it goes back to, no, because at 3 o'clock it goes back to 2, or is it 2 o'clock it goes back to 1? I think it's at 2 o'clock it goes back to 1. I don't know. But I do remember when Alex and I used to go out a lot. Oh, it's had to have changed since Alex and I got together, like, because I can remember when we would go out, we would always have an extra hour to be out. I remember thinking that always. So, got up today. Alex had to do some work this morning, and then I filmed some videos, and then I went to David's Tea. I went to the mall. Oh my God, the mall was so packed today. I have got to, like, I still haven't gotten a battery for my old Mac that, the battery died in. But every time I go, and I know people are always like, you know, you can like schedule an appointment and whatever, but every time I go past that Apple store, I feel like I'm gonna have a panic attack. I mean, there are so many people in there. It's just like frenzy. And the David's Tea is like catty corner from the Apple store. So I went into the mall today. I went in through Urban Outfitters. There's always so many things I want to buy at Urban Outfitters. Thank God half of them don't even fit me. But I went to the mall because I wanted to buy the David's Tea Advent Calendar. And so I went in and I bought it. It was expensive. It was $40. It came to $42.80 with tax. It's very cool. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. You can go watch my video. I show a lot of it in there, but I would highly suggest the David's Tea Advent Calendar if you're looking for like an adult Advent Calendar to do. It's really nice. It's really fun. So I got that, and then I did the review video for that, and then I filmed a video for my Peter Monn channel, my drama channel, and I had to be at Carlitos' birthday party. It started at 2 o'clock, but I knew Alex wasn't gonna get there till 2:30, and knowing my family, I knew that everybody would get there at like 2:30 or whatever. So we ended up, so Alex left from like his work stuff, and he called me and was like, I'm on my way. And so I was like, okay. And so I left and met him there, and Sarah came too. And so we sat down at the table and stuff. Okay, it was at this place. I don't know if it's like Adventure Zone or something. I mean, Sarah made this joke, and she's like, this place is gonna put Chuck E. Cheese out of business. No lie, this place is gonna put Chuck E. Cheese out of business. The prices are almost the same. I could not believe it. Like, the different packages for what you can buy, and you get like the kids get a wristband, but like the adults can do some of the stuff too, although we didn't. But it's like when you walk in, it used to be this grocery store, Marsh, here in Indianapolis. So this one was in Noblesville. I have a feeling this is like a franchise, and it's like wall climbing things for kids and zip lines for kids and they're not bounce houses. They're like these trampolines inside these, like, it looks like baseball, pits, whatever, where you throw baseballs. It is so well done. It is so nice. This place was packed. I mean, there were people running around everywhere. And one of the really nice things about it is that they have about 1 million people working in there, and they all wear these neon green shirts. And so, and it is like, you can't get in and out without somebody stop. Like when you're trying to walk in or walk out, they like stop you and ask you. So like, it seems very, very safe. But they have all these people working in there. And so like for each, different thing that they have for the kids, like if it's like a bounce area, they'll have like 4 or 5 workers just for that thing, watching the kids and whatever. And so the kids are running around and they all have socks on and stuff. And so we had like a picnic table thing, but it was like this metal picnic. It was nice. Like Carlos and Liliana had gotten like this section for the birthday party to have birthday cake and stuff. But the birthday, like the pizza, they got all this pizza and stuff for the kids and everything, but Alex was like, I think it's just for like the kids and whatever, so let's go. Are you hungry? And I was like, I'm starving. So he and Sarah and I went and got in line. This line was massively long to get food, and it took us an hour. So we decided that we were gonna get a cheese pizza and split it. So we got a cheese pizza, and then I got a pretzel with cheese that we were gonna split, and then Sarah got fries that we were gonna split, and then we each got, it wasn't that expensive. I think it came to like, Sarah got a slushie, and because Alex's uncle kept on going on about how great the slushies were, so she got a slushie, a watermelon slushie, and then Alex and I just got like, he got a Coke and I got a root beer, and it was like free refills. It was an hour to get our food. So by the time that we were getting our food, everybody was ready to go. And so we sat there and ate. Of course, it takes, everybody in the family, it takes forever to say goodbye because they, 9 million, it's cute. It's so cute. 9 million pictures and let's say goodbye, 15 times and all this kind of stuff. I want to see if I can get through here yet. I don't think I can. It looks like it's still, no, I don't think I can. But anyway, we had a good time. And then we all went over to Carlos and Liliana's so that Carlitos could open his birthday presents, and Alex had gone to Target and bought presents for him from he and I had gone to Meijer and bought presents for he and I. So Alex got him this mask from Marvel's Black Panther, and it was like this mask that goes up. It's really cool. And then I had bought him, I can't get through here. I thought I might be able to. When is this construction going to be done? This is ridiculous. This has been going on months now. I wanted to drive through the little town of Zionsville for Halloween, and I couldn't even do that. Same road closed up here. Road closed ahead. And then Alex, what else did he buy him? He bought him something Spider-Man, a Spider-Man car or something like that. Spider-Man something, I can't remember what it was. And he really wanted a remote control car. So I got him this like red Corvette that was like a remote control car. And then, which when I was there, at Meijer, there was this one remote control thing that was like a sports car and like a police car, and you could race them side by side, which I thought was kind of funny. I was like, okay, this is obviously so that, like one person can be the cop chasing the person that's like, going too fast. And I almost got it, and Liliana was like, later today, well, so the other thing I got him was this sharper image remote control thing that like turns over itself. It's really cool. And so I got him those 2 things. And then I got Sebastian this like Woody from Toy Story. He's real obsessed with Woody from Toy Story that like talks and says stuff, and he has a horse that he like, rides and stuff like that. It's real cute. He was so tired when we were at that Adventure Zone or whatever it was called. He started getting like really like tired and pouty, and Liliana thought it was because he was like jealous because Carlitos was getting a lot of attention and whatever. And so that's when I gave him the present. So Alex and I went over there and I was like, Sebastian, I got this for you, special for you. And he didn't want it. He was like really upset about it. And so finally Carlos, his dad, was like, Tio Peter got this for you. Come on, Sebastian. And so finally he opened it and he like started like tearing up, and I just think he was exhausted. And so then when we got back to the house, they had got back to the house like literally like 10 minutes before we did. And Sebastian was dead asleep on the couch. I mean, he was out like the whole time that we were there until like the very last 2 minutes. Well, I left like 20 minutes before Alex so I could go feed the dogs. I left with Sarah. He completely was like crashed out on the couch, and I was like, Alex and his mom and I were all sitting there on this couch, and Sebastian was behind us. He was asleep, so. And then when he woke up, he was in a real good mood. He's like that kid though, that like, it's funny, because like, you know, when other kids, like they wake up from naps and stuff, they're not typically in a good mood. Like Sebastian always wakes up and he's in a really good mood. But anyway, he had fun bouncing and stuff, and Sarah watched him for a long time today while we were there. It was fun. We had a good time. Oh, so anyway, when we were back at the house, Liliana said something about he is really obsessed with cars and like building cars. And she's like, I think, and then Alex's mom was like, he wants to be an engineer. He's 7. I started laughing. I said, okay, so you're gonna be that grandma? And she's like, don't you make fun of me. She started laughing. She's like, don't make fun of me. He's gonna be an engineer. When he was at my house the other day, he said, let's build a car. And I know he's gonna be an engineer. And Liliana goes, well, he wants to be a police officer. And I said, really? And she was like, yeah, he's like obsessed with police officers. She was like, there's a police officer at the school that comes in there sometimes, and he's like really nice to the kids. And Carlitos wants to be a police officer now. I was like, oh, that's cool, you know? So anyway, oh, his friend, I guess, his little friend wants to be, they write comic books together. He was telling me all about it. He was like, yeah, we write comic books together. And he goes, and guess what, Tio Peter? And I go, what? This was when I was there for Halloween. He goes, after my party on Saturday, he's coming over and we're having a play date for the rest of the night. And I was like, you are? But his best friend's parents are like Carlos and Liliana's best friends, so that means that they were just staying there all night long, and Carlos and his little friend were able to play and they were like doing some Lego thing at the kitchen table when I left. They're such good kids. But apparently his little friend wants to be a Marine, and so they've decided that one's going to be a Marine and the other one's going to be a police officer. That's what they've decided. So anyway, that was that, and then I came home and I fed the dogs, and everybody's been asking. PP is doing much better. Today was a good day for PP as well. In fact, Alex and I had kind of a conversation about it today, and I said, this was when we were like napping, and I said, because PP is like, it's weird, he's like coming up to the front of the bed now, and like wanting to sleep like real close to us, and he used to sleep down by our legs. And any like change like that, I don't know why, but it kind of like scares me a little bit. I'm like, what's going on here with PP? It's gonna stop, hold on a second. I'm like, what's going on with PP? Why is he being weird like that? And so Alex is like, you're being stupid, you know, whatever. And I'm like, I know, but like, here's the thing. Like, the vet said 1.5 years, and 1.5 years was October, and we made it through October. And I go, and the vet didn't even think that it was going to be, she really thought it was going to only be 6 months, which in all reality means that PP has made it 1 year longer than the vet thought he was, you know? And like today he was great. He like coughed like twice today, but other than that, and this is when he coughs. So he does this thing where he comes on the bed and he like flips and he turns and he wiggles and stuff like that. And then when he turns himself back over, he starts coughing and he's like, and I think it's because he gets himself out of sorts, right? So as long as he isn't doing anything crazy, he's kind of fine. And today it was warmer. It's 35 degrees right now, but it was 60 most of the day. And I think, like, I'm a little worried about the cold weather this year. I'm going to go through and get a Dr. Pepper at McDonald's. I was going to get a Diet Coke, but I think I really want a Dr. Pepper. I don't know if I have any change. I'm going to have to look. So I don't know, we'll have to see, but he was good. He doesn't want to eat his food. He will not eat his food. And I don't know what to do about it, because I don't think that we need to keep, I think, you know, I mean, the things that we have done that the vet has told us to do have really, really helped. And he's got to be on this diet for his kidney stuff, his kidney disease. And he's just like, he snubs it. He just looks at it and he just like walks away. And then he goes over to Tucker's plate and he looks at Tucker's plate. And then he walks down to, I'm gonna see if I have any change in here. And then he walks down to where Boo Radley, do I not have any dollars in here? I thought I had $1 left in here. I do. He walks down to, where PP keeps it, or where Boo Radley keeps his food. I wonder if it's going to be $1.11. I never know which one to go into, how much it's going to be. And he licks his plate. But of course, the dogs have eaten all their food, so there's not really anything left. And then he snubs his food and he won't eat it. And last night he sat there, and when I was like, PP, eat your food, he ate some of it, but he ate around it and just a little bit. And so, like, not even, I mean, maybe half, I guess. I don't know. I'm like looking to see if they have anything new. Do they have pumpkin pies yet? Limited time? Why would a baked pumpkin pie be a limited time? They have those all the time, don't they? It doesn't even make any sense. I thought they had apple pies all the time. They don't have anything new on the menu.
Thanks for my desk up here.
Yeah, can I get a large Dr. Pepper, please?
Anything else for you?
Nope, that's it.
Alright, 109.
But I was reading this article that said that they're having new toys in the Happy Meals. Which was funny, because when I was at Carlos and Liliana's, they had 2 Happy Meals like on the counter. So yeah, it was fun. Carlos and Liliana were sweet. They were giving, like, they were handing out cheese, like they had a cheese plate, and they had like hummus and stuff, and they were like passing it around. They don't ever do that. They always just like put it on the table and stuff. It was nice. It was nice. We had a good time today. I love just hanging out with the family. I have to go help Alex's mom tomorrow with, like, she wants me to help her with this video that she's putting together for her trip that she just took. So I don't know. I have so many things I have to do tomorrow that I don't know how I'm gonna get that done tomorrow night. She was like, tomorrow night, can you help me? And I was like, well, what do you need help with? And I was like, well, I have a lot of things I have to do. And she was like, okay, well, we can do it at 9:30. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be so tired tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, so tomorrow we have brunch. Oh, we're having brunch tomorrow with a friend of ours that we haven't seen in a long time. And we're going to brunch, and then I come home from brunch, and in between like 3 and 4, between brunch and the live stream, Mel and I usually talk on the phone for a little bit, just kind of talk about what we want to talk about. How are you?
How are you?
Good. I don't need the penny. I'm good. Thank you. We talk on the phone for a little bit, and and then I come home and I do the live stream from like 4 to 5 or 4 to 5:30, and then after that I want to make some videos for my channels. So that'll probably be like 5:30 or 6, because I'm not going to want to like get right off the computer and then sit down, you know, like I'm going to want to take a break for a little bit. And so these people got so much food in front of me. Oh my gosh. I'm kind of hungry, honestly. I didn't eat very much of that food at all when we were there today. I had like 1 piece of pizza. I thought I would have so much more. And it was actually really good pizza too. It was funny because we were talking, and Sarah's like, she's like, Chuck E. Cheese is screwed. I go, I know, except that they have that mouse with all the tickets. We were laughing about the Chuck E. Cheese compared to this Adventure Place. I mean, this Adventure Place was amazing. If you have one in your town and you have kids, take your kids there. I mean, it's amazing. And, I mean, we were all like, this is really cool. It'd be cool if, like, last year they did this, like, bounce house thing, which was basically, like, this warehouse that had a couple bounce houses in it, and it was really kind of a cool concept. This was, like, if that was, like, on a scale of 1 to 5, if that was, like, I mean, it's not comparable. I mean, this thing inside looked like, you know that TV show that they, like, do, like adults, like, do all that, like, you know, it's, like, X Factor. I don't know what it, not the X Factor, but you know what I'm talking about, where they do, like, they're like hanging on stuff. It looked like that inside. It was really cool. Hey, how are you? Thank you. It is cold outside. I keep on thinking that it's not that cold, but 35 is pretty cold. So yeah, I don't know. Like Alex said, he goes, well, I can help my mom with the video, or I can help her get it started, and then you can come over when you're done making your videos and stuff. I said, well, we might have to do that. I said, because I don't know that I'm going to be able to get everything done that I want to get done tomorrow, and be able to, like, do this video for her, because she'll want me to put it together from beginning to end, which is whatever. I don't mind helping her, but I just, you know, that it'll take me 2 hours. She's so funny. Like, when we did Alex's birthday, I have all this trash down here. You guys know I'm really weird about throwing trash out of my car. I just don't keep it in my car. So when we did Alex's birthday video, she would oh my God, this is driving me nuts. She would, like, we would put, like, a picture in order, and then she would say, I'm gonna go down here instead of turning there. She would say, okay, we would get, like, 5 pictures ahead, and she'd say, oh, no. Like, I want this picture back there, and I want these switched around. So I'd have to switch them around. So it's not like you just picture. Well, that one I had to put a bunch of music on. So this one, she said, I think she said she didn't need music on it, so. But I had fun doing that for Alex's birthday, and he loved that. I can't believe, like, I kind of joke about it being the Christmas season, but, like, I mean, it really, in all reality, it's like Thanksgiving's gonna be here before we know it. I was talking to my neighbor today that knew my mom and my aunt really well. I stopped her when I was, like, on my way home. Where was I coming back from when I was doing that? I was coming back from Carlos and Liliana's, and she was walking her dog, and so I stopped and I talked to her for a little bit, and she was really close with my aunt, but, like, she knew my mom well too because she lived in her neighborhood. And so we were talking, and I was telling her about Caroline and everything, and giving her filling her in on the whole situation with Carol. Well, there's no situation with Caroline, but she was like, how's Caroline? I was like, she's good. I talked to her yesterday. She's kind of sad about Halloween and whatever. I was just telling her that kind of stuff. But anyway, so it was just good seeing her. I don't know, it's weird when I see people that, you know, like getting to see Susie. I'm kind of sad that we can't go out in November. I really want to see Susie. I don't know. Maybe we could go, like, the first week of December or something. I need to just call Susie and see what she thinks. But it's good to see people, you know, that knew my mom and knew my aunt. And it's not even so much, like, because I miss them so much. Like, it's weird, you know, like, my mom has been gone so long at this point. Like, I mean, a day doesn't go by that I don't think about my mom on some level, because first of all, like, it was her condo, you know, and now it's, you know, our condo. But, like, there's stuff around that reminds me of her or whatever, you know, or just, I don't know. I just think about her, you know, at least once on a daily basis. But it's not like I sit there and I sob or I get real upset about it anymore. But I think to some degree, I just kind of miss the old days, you know, of, like, I mean, it's weird, like, that I had this whole life, you know, before I met Alex, with all these people that, you know, my life just looked completely different, you know, like going to chili dinners at Caroline's or my mom's, or, you know, going over to my aunt's house for dinner. We used to go out to dinner with my aunt and uncle a lot, you know, like, I mean, when I was an adult. And, you know, my ex was really close with my family. Alex was really close with my aunt and uncle and Caroline and stuff. And I mean, we still talk to Caroline, and I still see Caroline and all that kind of stuff, but it's just, it's like, I don't see her as much. And, you know, I don't know. It's just like time goes by and it's like you get older and it's just weird. It's just a weird thing, you know, like I kind of miss that era of my life, so to speak, but I like creating new memories too. And like, you know, being around Alex's family today is just like so happy and fun. And, Alex's mom is so funny. So we were talking to her about looking at places in Florida, and she was like, so Alex was showing her this one apartment that we really like, and this is not anything, let me just clarify, that is happening anytime soon. It's not like it's going to be next week or next month or 6 months from now. I wish it could be, but financially we're not in the position to do that. But I'm hoping in the next year and a half, maybe less, we'll be able to get a place in Florida and go back and forth. That's my hope. But we found this condo that's actually kind of like realistic for us. The thing is, like, it's realistic for us if we have the money that we want to have now, but so down the road we'll have to find something, you know, maybe similar in the same building, but it's in the area that Alex likes. It's in that Brickell area. And then we're also looking kind of at some other areas. There's an area of, what's it called? It starts with a W. I know, some people that watch my vlog will know what I'm talking about, but it's a part of like South Florida, and it's known to have like a lot of Venezuelan people. Alex really likes that area, and he also likes Doral a little bit, and that's really affordable for us. And some of these apartments and some of these condos are absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, he was showing her this apartment that we had found, and both Alex and I were like, okay, this is the one thing about looking at apartments in Florida, is that a lot of the HOA fees are based on square foot of the condo. And so the condos that we're looking at have more square footage than what we have here. And we're like at a fixed rate on an HOA. I mean, it changes sometimes year from year. The last 2 years it hasn't changed, but like if it goes up for everybody. Like ours, because we have like the smallest unit in our neighborhood, just because like we pay the same as the biggest unit in our neighborhood. But a lot of neighborhoods, you pay your HOA fees for a condo monthly based on your square footage. Okay. Well, some of these condos in Florida, like Alex would be like, okay, the mortgage wouldn't be that bad, and it wouldn't be that bad. You know, it was realistic for us. But the HOA fees, this one condo that we found that was in Brickell, it was gorgeous, and it was like 3 bedrooms, 3 bath, and it was totally realistic, and the HOA fees were $2,000. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh my God, there's no way. Like, on top of a mortgage, like, no way could we afford that, you know? And, so. But this one that we found, the HOA fees are a lot lower than that. And, so anyway, Alex's mom was looking through the pictures, and she was like, which one's my room? You know, initially when we started talking about it, we said 5 to 7 years. And that was, I think 7 years was, I don't know how old I would have been, because I'm bad with math. So I would have been, but it was like 51. 7 years was like 51. And we had said 5 to 7 years, and we wanted to definitely have a place in Florida, either be down there permanently or go back and forth. And at that time, Alex really wanted to be down there permanently, but now he'd really like to go back and forth like I would. You know, there are times that I don't want to be in Florida, that it's super, super hot. And I just, you know, I have a lot of, like, my family's here too, you know, and my dad, my stepmom, and Caroline, and I don't want to give up the place. And it's like, our condo is not big. It's not like it's a lot to maintain, you know, so it's really realistic to have 2 places. But at this point, if I'm going to invest some money into like, because Alex is like, if we're just going to stay in Indianapolis and not get a place in Florida, then I would really like to get like a bigger place or like downtown, you know, or whatever. He does not want a house. We were talking about this the other day. He's like, I don't know why I don't want a house. He's like, I just don't want to have to take care of a yard and whatever. I said, well, you can hire people to do all that. I mean, like you can hire lawn service and stuff to do that, you know? And he was like, I just don't want to deal with it. I just don't want to have to deal with any of that. And I understand it. The one thing about a house is that if something happens to the exterior, you're still responsible for it. You know, like with a condo, it's kind of nice because you don't have to do all that in the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. If you lived in a building, you wouldn't have to deal with all that. I do not want to live in a building downtown Indianapolis. I have no desire to do that. And he knows that, and he could care less about that. So, but like our place is like perfectly situated, and it's because it's not that big, and because it's in a really, you know, nice little neighborhood, it's like really easy to maintain, you know. It's just real easy. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think that when we start going down there more, we're going to start looking at places when we're down there if we get a chance, you know? Or at least walking around and looking at buildings and being like, okay, is this a building that feels right? You know, like I did when I was down there. So anyway. So yeah, so that's exciting. And, I also can't say that if some opportunity arose that would be good for us, that I wouldn't do it tomorrow too. Like, I mean, the thing is that I think we're finally at a position where we would, like, we're willing to wait a while if we have to make it easier. But if something came up tomorrow where we could do it, like, we would do that. You know what I mean? Like if we got a, you know, an offer we couldn't resist kind of thing. We'll see. We'll have to see, you know. That person didn't even look like they were sitting in their car. But I don't think that Carlos and Liliana, they used to talk about wanting to move to Florida too, and I don't think, like, I think they'll be here forever now, at least till the kids graduate. And because they've made a lot of friends and stuff in the area. I mean, you know, Carlos has his baseball team, and you know, they have the house, but Alex's mom, I think she'd move in a heartbeat. Well, I don't know, because, you know, her mom's with her, and Alex's, you know, Aunt Jackie and Ed are here, and I know they're not moving. I think Caroline would move tomorrow if she could. She'd be gone. She'd be like, put me on a beach. It's fun to get excited about, though, and look at stuff, you know. Oh my God, some of these homes, though. We were looking at some places, like, online on Coral Gables, and we, like, just get on Zillow and look, and then we, like, send each other these houses, you know. And they're, like, $25 million houses in Coral Gables, and I'm like, oh my God. This reminds me of that movie Wild Things. Do you remember that movie back in the day with Denise Richards? But anyway, it's fun to dream. I'm already hungry for brunch tomorrow. Isn't that crazy? I don't know why. Oh, that's what I was going to say. We got all that food today, and then I had a piece of cheese pizza, some of that pretzel, and I had like one fry. And I was like, so hungry. But then when I ate that stuff, I wasn't hungry anymore. And then when we got to Alex's brother's house, I had like 2 chips with hummus and like 2 pieces of cheese. We never got cake. By the time the cake, it was gone like that quick. They had a lot of people at the birthday party. It was chocolate cake though. I'm not like a huge fan of chocolate cake. I like white cake, or, you know, like birthday cake or white wedding cake. Oh God, I really love like white wedding cake. It's so delicious. So So yeah, before you know it, it'll be Thanksgiving, you know what I mean? And, which seems crazy to me. And then it's like when Thanksgiving is over, and usually, like, isn't Thanksgiving sometimes like the 24th or the 25th, and this year it's like the 28th, which means that we're going to turn around and be right in December, right after Thanksgiving, and then it's like boom, 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 and then it's Christmas, and then it's New Year's, and then it's the beginning of the year, and then it's countdown to summer, you know, and it's just like crazy how quick it all happens. So crazy. I'm really excited about Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. Thanksgiving's not a holiday that I really care that much about. I don't know why. You know, I was thinking about this when I always said that, or when I said, you know, like I don't go out of town, or I didn't go out of town a lot when I was growing up. You know, my dad, I think it must have alternated for him or something, or I don't know if it was going to be, you know, when he was going to go out of town, I would go with him. My parents just never argued over holidays. So it was always like if I wanted to go, I could, you know. But my dad's fraternity brother lived in Sarasota, and like the whole time that I was growing up. And he was so funny. He passed away. Oh God. I don't know how long it's been now. 12, 15 years. My dad was devastated when he passed away. It was like my dad has like one other guy friend. I mean, he has friends that are guys, but like his like good friends, you know? But like that had been his like lifelong friend. Well, it's from high school that he grew up with as a kid, but he like still lives in his hometown. He doesn't really talk to him, I don't think, as much anymore. But so we used to go down there for Easter and Thanksgiving, and I remember like it was very To Kill a Mockingbird, because we went down, I bet there was probably 5 years in a row that we went down there, like we alternated back. Like I don't know that we went every, you know, Easter and Thanksgiving, but we went quite a few. And because I can remember on Easter we would go and we would get up and all the parents would be drinking Bloody Marys and stuff, and they would start cooking, you know, like the ham or whatever, and then we would watch the Macy's Day Parade. Now that's Thanksgiving, isn't it? Okay, the battery died right as I was like turning it off, so I had to change the battery. Do I need lip balm? Man, I could use this coffee lip balm all the time. Who was I trying to get to use it the other day? And I was like, oh my God, you have to try. I think it was Melissa. And I was like, you should try it. She's like, oh my God, it smells so good. And I was like, do you want to try it? She goes, I don't like coffee. But anyway, I was sitting here thinking about, talking about this. I was like, that was Thanksgiving. It wasn't Easter, the Macy's Day Parade. So anyway, we would get up and, you know, we would sit there and all of us kids would sit there and watch Macy's Day Parade. Well, my dad's fraternity brother's wife, who like was kind of she's like kind of like my Aunt Susie is, but on my dad's side when I was growing up. She and her husband, that was my dad's fraternity brother. I want to drive by this Five Guys because I haven't been in here in forever, and I wanted to see what they have, see if they have anything vegetarian. I bet they don't though. Voted best burger, best of the best, 913. Chattanooga Times Free Press, Tennessee. Order online, Five Guys. I'm sure they don't have any kind of vegetarian burger in there. Does it say Impossible Burger? Oh, it can't possibly say that. I want to see if they have a Impossible Burger at Five Guys, because first of all, I could review that, and second of all, that would be nice to know. Is this, what's it called, Five Guys? Oh, they have a grilled cheese sandwich. That's the weirdest menu. It has like 5 things on it. That can't be it. Menu. Oh, they have a veggie sandwich. I remember going here one time and everybody talked about their fries and their, oh my God, look at all those shakes that they have. Chooses many of our free mix-ins. Bacon. Gross. Bananas, cherries. If you like bacon in your milkshake, I'm sorry. Bacon, bananas, cherries, chocolate, milk. bacon, bananas, cherry chocolate, coffee, malted milk, Oreo cookie pieces, peanut butter, salted caramel, and strawberries. Available only at participating locations. She says many of our free toppings. I won't read those, there's a lot. Do you want me to read them to you? Okay. Mayo, lettuce, pickles, tomatoes, grilled onions, grilled mushrooms, ketchup, mustard, relish, onions, jalapeno peppers, green peppers, barbecue sauce, hot sauce, A1 sauce. What if you went in there and said, I'll have it all? I'll have it all. So you can get a veggie sandwich, a cheese veggie sandwich, grilled cheese. So those are 3 things I could get in there. But they don't have... They have a bacon cheese dog. I wonder what that means. But anyway, I remember going in there years ago before I was a vegetarian, and I got a cheeseburger and I got fries. And everybody's like, oh my God, their fries are so good, but you have to eat them right away. And they were so soggy. I didn't think they were good at all. But anyway, we would go to Sarasota to visit them. And we would get up, and the kids, would be hanging out and whatever, and we would all watch the Macy's Day Parade, because my dad's fraternity brother's wife, her sister, drove a car in the Macy's Day Parade every year. And so we'd be like, oh my God, there she is, there she is. Because we knew her from the family, right? So we'd be like, oh my God, there she is. And she'd be driving. She'd always drive like somebody famous, she drove Dudley Moore one year in like the Excalibur that he had from the movie Arthur, and so it was just like really cool stuff. But anyway, and then we would go to the beach, and then we would come home, and after the beach we would have Thanksgiving dinner and all that kind of stuff. And I remember one year I was really sick. I think we got down there and I got really sick, or I don't remember what happened, but we went over to his mom's house, fraternity brother's mom's house, and she lived in this high-rise apartment building or something. I just remember it was kind of high up. It wasn't super high up, but it was high up. And they were all in the living room. We must have gone over there after dinner or something. I don't remember, but we went over there. And they were all in the living room, and it was 9 o'clock at night or something, and they were sitting around talking and whatever, visiting. And I felt so sick, and she and my dad, his mom and my dad, put me in the bedroom, and I could see down the hallway, and they put this TV on for me. And I remember that the movie that night on TV, I've told this story on here before, the movie that night on TV was It Came Upon a Midnight Clear with Mickey Rooney. And it's about this kid who's at the beginning scene, they live in California, his grandpa, who is Mickey Rooney, the kid that's in the movie, he was actually also in the movie with Jacqueline Smith called The Night They Saved Christmas, which was another Christmas movie. But anyway, he's that red-haired kid. So he calls him his papa in the movie, and his papa, Mickey Rooney, had been a detective in New York City, and he always wanted to get back to New York City. So anyway, he dies, and he goes to heaven, and they send him back to find this Christmas angel in New York City. So he has to go to New York City. So basically, he and his grandson fly to New York City at Christmas time, the week of Christmas. Annie Potts is in it too, that used to be in Designing Women. She plays this news reporter. It was one of the very first things she ever did, I think. And I watched that movie, and I can remember it was so magical. And I was so into this movie. The movie is it takes place at night. It takes place in New York City at Christmas time. It's very cool. And I can just remember laying in bed watching it, and seeing them in the living room talking and laughing. We stayed there late, and then I fell asleep. And I just remember to this day, I love that movie, and I always think of that whenever I watch that movie. It's on YouTube. The whole movie is on YouTube, I think. And it's a really good movie if you like Christmas movies, but I love Christmas movies. Some of my other favorite Christmas movies are, Smoky Mountain Christmas with Dolly Parton is my all-time favorite. Well, before I get into the Christmas movie thing, so, we would go down there for Thanksgiving, and sometimes Easter's, I think, too. But, I think actually Easter, because it was, a longer time, maybe, we would go to, that's when we would take, more extensive, longer trips and stuff like that. My dad would, take me out of school for, a couple extra days, and then we would go on, some extensive trip. Because we did, we traveled to, some really great places when I was a kid. So maybe we didn't go down there for Easter and spring break. I don't remember. But for Thanksgiving we did. And so I think for Thanksgiving most of the time growing up, I wasn't there. And I think I wasn't with my mom and my aunt. I think I was with my dad most of the time for Thanksgiving. But then when I got older, like in late junior high school, because when my dad and my stepmom got married, we went down there like once, I think, or twice. And then after that, we didn't keep on going down there because they would do stuff with her family. And then I would go with my mom and my aunt for Thanksgiving. It would be at my aunt's house. But I feel like I would have gone over to my dad's house or something in the evening on Thanksgiving because I can remember our friend who makes the dressing that we all talk about, like I talk about every year, about like her famous dressing. So she had like a party, I think they still do it, every year on Thanksgiving. So like after everybody's Thanksgiving is done, everybody comes to their house. I mean, it's literally like 30 people. And the adults all hang around and people bring over extra food that they have got left over. And it's like this huge pitch-in and everybody just, and that's so fun. I think it's so fun. They have like this huge pitch-in and they just sit around. And my mom up to like her last year of her life went to that every year over to their house. And because they have 5 daughters. Do they have 4 daughters or 5 daughters? They have 4 daughters. 4 daughters and grandkids and whatever, and they're ranging all these ages. So they go over there every year. And so I think I must have gone over to my dad's on Thanksgiving night. But I don't remember. Or I would have just been out of town. I don't remember why I would have done. I don't know. So anyway. But when I was in high school, I did do Thanksgiving with my mom and my aunt. I remember that. My aunt always did such a nice job at Thanksgiving and Christmas with like the food and the layout and everything, from the flowers to, she would do the flower arrangement herself. She was always so proud of it, and just the presents looked so pretty, and it just was magical. You know, amidst all the drinking and the alcoholism of my mom and all this kind of stuff, I really did, and I don't ever want this to be missed on my stories that I tell, I really did have a magical childhood. I mean, I really did. There was a lot of fear and there was a lot of craziness that occurred, you know, but there were moments that were just absolutely magical, you know, and I look back and it was, you know, the sadness and the scariness was, I think, always when it was just like me alone and my mom was drinking. But there were a lot of moments when my mom wasn't drinking, you know, when it was Little House on the Prairie nights and stuff. And I've said this on here before, like one of the things that was hard was, and I really just share these stories, you know, so that people that have gone through it, like they can say, oh, I relate to that, or, you know, I don't know, and helping your own kids or whatever. But it was not knowing what I was going to walk into. But like, if it was going to be like a Christmas Eve kind of thing, like I didn't really ever worry about it because I knew we were going to stay at my aunt's house anyway. And so I would just like 10 o'clock go put on my jammies or something, you know, and then Caroline and I would just be there playing or, you know, watching a movie or whatever. It was like, it was safe. My aunt and uncle's was always a really safe place for me. Because I just knew that, like, I mean, we had our little like bedroom where my mom and I would, you know, take our bags and stay and stuff like that. So anyway, yeah. My mom loved Thanksgiving so much. She would just sit at the table and she'd want to get, you know, second and third and fourth. And then pumpkin pie and pecan pie. She'd say to my aunt, she'd go, Kathy, can I have pumpkin, pecan, and a piece of chocolate cake? My aunt would say, you can have whatever you want. It's all for you. She was so good to my mom. So good to my mom. My mom would always come home. My mom kind of and Alex are very similar into this. Like, you know, when we were at Melissa's the other day, Melissa was like, do you want to take home any chili? And Alex was like, yeah, I'll take home whatever. And like literally comes home, like our refrigerator is packed. He like these huge Ziploc bags, right? Filled with chili, and she sent him home with like a whole bag of like oyster crackers just because she bought them all for him. And so he was like, yeah, I'll take those, and then 2 cookies and all this kind of stuff. Alex will take home, I mean, if you invited us over to dinner and said, do you want to take home food? My husband would take home whatever you sent him home. And like, we go to a restaurant, he always takes home leftovers. He is so my mother on that. And my mom always, like my aunt would, you know, make a casserole and bring it over to my mom, and my mom would eat from that. I mean, Alex is the leftover king. He will sit and he eats it. Like for me, like I'll bring that stuff home and never eat it, right? He eats it. And so like he'll maybe have like on a Sunday, you know, like for dinner, like we'll go to brunch and then he'll get hungry again at like 7 or 8 because, you know, he's sat in bed and watched TV or napped or whatever. So he'll wake up at like 7 or 8 or 9 and he'll be like, I'm hungry. And he'll go in the kitchen and he'll like heat up his pizza from Friday night. And then, you know, he'll like, you know, make a bowl of chili from Melissa's and whatever. We didn't have pizza on Friday night. Did we have pizza on Friday night? What did we do on Friday night? I don't even know. But you know what I mean? Like, he'll like go through, he'll like add, you know, little things that he does, or like little things that we have in the refrigerator, and he'll heat up all of it and make this kind of like smorgasbord of heated up food. My mom did the same thing. And always candy. My mom and Alex both always had to have candy. Like Alex always has to have candy in the house. Always. Like, and it's so funny because Carlitos, I asked him the other day, I said, what's your favorite kind of candy? Because I was going to get him some candy for his birthday. And not thinking it was just Halloween, right? And he said Sour Patch Kids, and those are Alex's favorite. But Alex loves sours. I don't like sours very much. But Alex loves Sprees, all that kind of stuff. He likes these chewy Sprees. I thought they, yeah, so that's what he's real into right now. Oh my God, it did. You guys, it turned 2 o'clock and now look, it says 1:12 again. It went back to 1 o'clock. That is so crazy. Look, see, it says 1:12. It fell back. I got an extra hour to vlog. Oh, everybody's happy. That is so crazy that that happens in our world. I don't know why I think that's so crazy, but it is. Anyway, I'll just vlog for a little extra tonight. So yeah, my mom loved Thanksgiving and she would always bring home food. Now, I have learned to do that, but this is the thing, but like at Caroline's, okay, so if we bring home food from Caroline's, you know, there's only certain food that I can eat. So I can eat like the mac and cheese, I can eat like, you know, mashed potatoes, rolls, pie, things like that. Well, Alex doesn't like pie. He doesn't like, he's not real big into like the pastries. Like he'll eat flan when his, you know, like mom or grandma or, you know, Liliana makes it. I don't think Liliana makes flan. I think his mom and grandma make it. Or Jackie, his Aunt Jackie makes it. Or, oh my God, he loves that Tres Leches cake. He loves Tres Leches cake. So those two things he'll eat. But other than that, like he isn't really like a cake person or a pie person. And he doesn't like chocolate anything like brownies or whatever. So if we go to Caroline's, like, and she'll be like, do you guys want to take home stuff? I'll be like, yeah, sure. So, you know, she'll be putting stuff together in the kitchen. Well, Alex will stand there and tell her what he wants, right? Well, I want this and I want that and whatever, right? Okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, this is mine too. I cannot tell you how many times we've gotten home and I'll be like getting out the mashed potatoes and he'll be like, are you going to eat some of my mashed potatoes? And I'm be like, well, I thought you got them for both of us. And he goes, well, did you tell Caroline that you wanted something? Because I specifically told her how much I wanted. Is that not so funny? So anyway. Oh my Lord. So yeah, so Thanksgiving is going to be fun. I'm excited about it. I don't know if we're doing it at Caroline's house or if we're going to this restaurant. I don't know if she's decided yet or not. Well, she had made reservations for this restaurant, and then David apparently was like talking to Alex and said that he was like, Mom wants to do it at the house now or something, so maybe we're doing it at the house. I don't know. I can do either or. I looked at the menu for the restaurant and I'm completely fine eating there too, so. But wherever I go this year, there are, like, if we do it at her house, I'm going to be taking some of my own stuff. I'm going to take my own stuffing. And I'm going to take, that's it. I might, I think what I might do is go to Trader Joe's, like in a week, I might do it. And I might try a bunch of the vegetarian, Thanksgiving food that they have there. They have like a tofurkey. Tofurkey, I think is what it's called. And everybody wanted me to try it on, I did this live stream and they were mentioning it. So I might try that. And then, I love cranberry sauce anyway. I love sweet potatoes. So I don't know, maybe I'll make some stuff and take it to Thanksgiving if we go to Caroline's house. I love deviled eggs. My mom used to make the deviled eggs. She made such fantastic deviled eggs. That was like her specialty. I just like Thanksgiving and getting together with family. And we'll see, you know, Alex's family that day too. I think they, like Caroline usually does it later. Although I don't remember what time she said reservations were. But I think it was like 4 or 5, because I was like, okay, this year it's going to be hard to do Thanksgiving with Alex's family too, because they usually do like 4 or 5. No, they usually do it earlier, and then we go over, or do we go to Caroline's first? They're not at the same time usually though. And it's so awesome. Like, this is how, I mean, imagine this, how awesome our family is. So, like, if Caroline said I'm having dinner at 3 o'clock and, like, Alex's mom and aunt hadn't figured out when they were doing it yet, they would just be like, okay, well, we'll do it afterwards so that you guys can go over to Caroline's first. We need to just do it all together at this point. It's just stupid not to. I need to talk to Caroline about that, maybe about Christmas, and just doing it all together. I mean, she knows all of them, does stuff with them, you know, when we like, for like birthdays and stuff. So, you know, it's just Caroline, Mike, and David at this point. So, well, Mike's son, and his one son doesn't live here anymore, but his other son, his stepson, who we're real close with, and his wife, but they could come too, to like Alex's family's house. Caroline's always like, oh, I don't know, it just seems like it's so loud and energetic, and I kind of just like to relax on holidays. I'm like, Caroline, you would have a blast. She would have so much fun. And they literally live like 5 minutes apart, if even that. They live like 3 minutes apart. So anyway, we were talking about on Halloween what we want to do for New Year's this year. And Melissa was like, well, why don't we go get a cabin, like in Brown County? I was like, I am totally in for that, because I've talked about that for the last couple of years, wanting to do that. And Aaron and Eric were like, yeah, that'd be fun to get a cabin. We could all just like hang out and whatever. And Alex would be like, well, he looked at me and goes, this will be the first New Year's we won't be spending together. I said, Alex, we have been at a club or at a party every New Year's for the last 11 years. You can spend one New Year's away from a club. It's not that exciting of a night anyway. He started laughing. He was like, I know. He was like, but it's New Year's. It's like such a fun night to get dressed up. And I'm like, you love any excuse to get dressed up. It doesn't have to just be New Year's. He was like, well, that's true. But truth be told, we'll end up staying here and going to that party that we go to every year. That's exactly what will happen, which is fine by me. I'm like, whatever, it's New Year's. I don't really care. I mean, in all honesty, I'd rather almost kind of get a cabin like in February sometime for 3 days instead of like doing it on New Year's, because I think it'll be hard to get a cabin, or even now, because I think people probably start booking that stuff out so far ahead. My favorite Christmas movies, that's what we were going to talk about. Let's take a tangent over there. So one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies by far is Smoky Mountain Christmas with Dolly Parton. I watch it every single year. I absolutely love it. And if anybody can find for me where I can download the music for it, I'm dreaming of a Smoky Mountain Christmas. You can take the girl from the country, I have heard them say, but you cannot take the country from the girl. I have looked where I can download these songs forever, and it's nowhere. So anyway, I love that movie so much, Smoky Mountain Christmas, and basically, it's about Dolly Parton, but her name's not Dolly Parton in the movie. I can't remember what her name, I've seen it 9 million times and I don't remember what her name is. But anyway, what is her name? Her butler calls her Miss. What is her name? God, why can't I think? Anyway, is it Chris Christopherson that's in it? Why can't I think of who the people are? It's not Chris Christopherson, but it's somebody like him. And John Ritter plays the judge, and it's really good. Anyway, She plays a country music star that lives in Nashville, and she's like rich, and she just wants to get away from it all for a while. So she goes to her friend's cabin in the Appalachian Mountains, which is basically where she grew up, and it's basically Dollywood. And what's her friend's name? Because she was like, she goes to this girl's cabin in the woods where nobody knows where she is, and it has like no running water or anything, right? And there's like this bed, and it's like this beautiful bed that's like made with all like, you know, big down comforter and stuff, and her name's like Sally Sue or something like that. And she's on the stove, there's like a big pot cooking in it. So she goes, squirrel stew, you think of everything. But anyway, I mean, her friend's not there. And obviously she like calls her friend lets her stay in this place, and she drives this truck out there. So nobody knows where she's at, and they think she's actually been kidnapped. So then she runs into these kids, and these kids that have ran away from the town orphanage, they are living there in this house, okay? And so they think she's the Christmas angel. And it's about them spending Christmas together. And anyway, so the oldest boy, he's real surly. He's real pissed all the time about telling her that she's going to have to leave as soon as Christmas is over and all this kind of stuff. She tells him, she says, well, if anybody's going to call the cops, it ought to be me, is what she says. Anyway, some of the lines in the movie are about hilarious and almost perfection. There's this one line when this little girl, she's never had a room to herself. And Dolly says, I remember the day that my mama and we hung myself a room. So basically, it was at the end and I didn't even know it. So basically, for this little girl, she takes this blanket. Okay, now I don't know what she's going to keep her warm because her blanket's now her room. But she puts this clothesline and then she hangs this blanket over it. And then she goes, we just hung us a room. She goes, she goes, not too bad considering we're almost professionals. It's like one of my favorite lines from any movie. But anyway, I just crack up every time I hear it. And I hear it every year because I watch it every year. So Dolly Parton, Smoky Mountain Christmas, that's one of my favorites. I don't even know how I found about that, but true story about this. I loved that movie so much, and there's something so magical about it, and it's just Christmas in the mountains and everything like that, that is why my mom and I and my ex started going to Gatlinburg, Tennessee for Christmas, because, which is Sevierville, and I was like, one day before I die, I want to do Christmas in the mountains. Like, I want to do Christmas in the Smoky Mountains, like Smoky Mountain Christmas, just once. Well, we did it, and we had such a great time. It was my mom and I, my ex, and Scotty, who passed away this summer. The four of us went up into the mountains, and we rented this cabin at this place called Gatlinburg Falls. It's still there. It's absolutely gorgeous. And each cabin is named something different. And I just kind of randomly did it, and we ended up getting this like 3-bedroom cabin, and that had, you know, a pool table and video game consoles and a huge kitchen and granite countertops, and the beds, they had little fireplaces, fake fireplaces in every room that actually put out heat, and the beds had these quilts on them, and we brought a Christmas tree, we put a Christmas tree up and stuff, and we went to Kroger. So we drove up there, and the night that we drove up there, this was the first year that we went, we left like in the evening, so it's like a 6.5 hour drive. So 8, 9, 10, 10. Yeah, we left at like 8 or something like that, and so maybe we left a little earlier than that. I don't know. We stopped along the way so we left, and then we stopped a couple times on the way, because at one point we stopped at McDonald's, like in the middle of Tennessee, and my mom like asked this lady what kind of fish was on their fish sandwich, and the woman looked at her and said, square. Anyway, so my mom said, I don't think she's very friendly, do you? But anyway, so we get into Gatlinburg. Well, the thing is, when you're driving there, it gets very mountainous, okay? And I had never driven there before, so I didn't know, right? And I'm even kind of like white knuckling at that point. I don't like driving in the mountains. I don't like it. I don't like it when it just is like this and you're driving like this and it's like, okay, at any moment I could just like drop off a cliff and be, you know, on the ground. I don't like that. So anyway, my mom, she definitely didn't like it, and very fearful of things. And so we get to Gatlinburg, and if you've never been to Gatlinburg, you actually come in to Pigeon Forge. So Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge are two different things, right? And you come into Pigeon Forge, and Pigeon Forge is, I don't even know really how to explain it. It's like, it kind of reminds me of, if you've never been to Vegas, which you might imagine Vegas to be like on a very small level, there's like all these hotels, all these restaurants, there's big museums, that like Upside Down Museum is there, the Wonder Museum and things like that, and the Titanic Museum. It's just basically the biggest tourist place you've ever seen in your entire life, okay? And there's like go-kart places, and there's like a outlet mall there. I think it's a Tanger outlet mall. It's actually a really nice outlet mall, and it's huge. And there's just all this. There's like this whole hotel. It's called like the Christmas Hotel or something. It's like everything is Christmassy there. It's very cool, and they have like a million of those as seen on TV stores. I've actually thought about me and Tanya driving down there and just staying overnight, just for me to buy a bunch of as seen on TV stuff to review for my review channel. Because Alex would not want to drive the 6 hours down there for one night to come back the next day. So anyway, so I was like, Tanya, would you ever do it with me? She's like, yeah, absolutely. So I thought, well, we'd just go down there, stay in a cabin for one night, and then come back. So anyway, so we get down there and we drive through. Well, by the time that we got there, because there was like, I don't know, but anyway, it took us forever to get there. So by the time, I was gonna say, I thought there was road construction, but that was when Alex and I drove down there the first time there was road construction, and ended up, instead of taking us like 6 hours, it took us like 8 hours. So we pull into Pigeon Forge, and we get to the very end, and my mom's like, where are we going? Where are we going? Well, you get to the very end, and there's like this hotel on the left, and then you go on this long curvy road that's along this river, and it's in the woods, and it is beautiful. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. Like, all of a sudden, you feel like you've gone from kind of, I don't want to offend anybody that lives in Pigeon Forge, but Pigeon Forge is kind of trashy. I mean, it just is. It just seems like tourist central. And so all of a sudden you go from tourist central to being like in the mountains. It's literally like that quick. It's gorgeous. Alex was teaching Carlitos how to snap today. Apparently he just learned how to snap. He was real excited about that. So anyway, it's beautiful. And the whole time that you're driving, you're like driving along this like creek or river. It's really pretty. And it actually, that year, snowed like a little bit. It doesn't usually snow in Gatlinburg at that time of year. I thought it would be like, you know, the woods full of snow and stuff, but that doesn't usually happen. They don't usually get snow until like into January or February, if they even get it then. They don't always get snow, I don't think. So anyway, except for up in the mountains. So we pull into Gatlinburg. It's now like, you know, between 2 and 3 in the morning. And my mom's like, well, where is the cabin? Because when you pull into Gatlinburg, you're like in a city. And it's like this little cutesy town, and it's like, it looks like old buildings, and it's cute, and there's like a river that like runs through the town. It's just very cute, and it's very touristy as well, but it doesn't feel touristy. It just feels like old-timey. It's kind of, you know, it's like a ski lodge town. It kind of feels like you're in Colorado or something, like at a ski lodge town, you know, like Aspen or something like that. So, well, maybe not Aspen. Yeah, I don't know, you know, like maybe just some small town, you know what I mean? Like where you can go skiing, all kinds of stuff. It's just cute like that. Breckenridge or something. Or Vale. So my mom's like, well, where do we go? And I'm like, I don't know. And this is, you guys, before, like, you know, everybody had GPS on their phones and cars and stuff like that. So we're like looking at this map thing that we had, Trip Tech or whatever it was, I don't know. And we figure out that we have to go like up and then up and up and up. And so we start going up, and my mom's like, where are you taking me? And I was like, we have to go up here. And she's like, into the mountain? We're going onto the mountain? She's like panicking. Oh my God, I can't. Don't do this to me, you know, blah, 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 whatever. Just leave me here. I'll just get a hotel room. I'll get a hotel room. I'm not gonna go into the mountain. She's like panicking, right? I'm like, Mom, everything is closed. There's nowhere to stay. You have to go with us. Oh my God, don't do this to me. Oh my God, don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me. I'm scared. I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna do this. So anyway, she is like hollering the whole time. And we finally, I mean, and it was steep. I mean, it was like, you know, you're on a mountain. You legit are on a mountain, but you don't really know you are, because at that point you're like kind of like on the mountain, if that makes sense. So, I mean, you're kind of like going, I mean, it's not like you'd like just fall off the side of the mountain, you know what I mean? So anyway, but it feels steep because you're literally, like, the incline is literally like that, you know? And so we get into this Gatlinburg Falls place, and At that point, like when we pull into the office, it's like all like this, and then it's like, you know, but then you can see that the cabins are, if this is where the office is, the cabins are all up here, right? You have to drive up further, and my mom shouldn't want to do that. So we get in, there's like this slot thing where you go and you get your keys and the intro little letter and everything like that. And so we went and got that. They had left for us. And my mom was like, can you just take me back down? I'm just gonna get a hotel room in one of those motels. I was like, no. And she's like, please, Peter. She's like, please, I don't want to go back up the mountain. I don't want to go back up the mountain. Please don't take me up the mountain. She would do this thing and she drove me crazy. And I was like, Mom, we're literally 2 minutes from our cabin, okay? You could walk it if you wanted to. Well, I'm just gonna walk it. So anyway, I think we got her in the car and she walked up there. But anyway, as soon as we got out, we like parked in front of the cabin and it's completely flat, right? And she's like, oh my God. The next day, she came out, she's like, it wasn't even really that bad at all. She's like walking all around the cabin. She'd walked up and down the streets and she was looking at all the cabins and she was real excited. And she was like, oh my God, I can't remember what it was called, but our cabin was like called something. It was real cute. And it had like some, I don't know, some meaning to her or whatever. And she's like, oh my God, I love this cabin so much. And we had such a fun time there that time. But, God, getting her up that mountain, I'll never forget that. She was terrified. She was absolutely terrified. I just thought that was a scarecrow over there. And you know what's really funny? I was just thinking of, this Halloween, I don't remember seeing one scarecrow anywhere. Maybe I did, but I don't remember it. So yeah, that was the first Christmas on the mountain with my mom. And then, and we did that, and Caroline and my aunt and uncle and Mike were still here. And then the following year, they decided, because back then, my aunt and uncle had bought a place in Florida and they would go every other year for Christmas. And so they had decided they were going to go down there for Christmas. And so my mom's like, well, it's just going to be us. And I was like, no, 2 years before that, because when they bought that place the first year, my mom was real upset about it. And that was when we got the Chinese food. I'll tell that story in a second. So then the second year was when we went to Gatlinburg, I think. And then the third year, they decided they were going to go back to Longboat Key, Little Sarasota. And so I was like, my mom was like, it's just going to be us. And I was like, okay, well, let's get a cabin in Gatlinburg again. And so then it became like a regular thing. We did that until my mom passed away. And the last Christmas, it was just she and I in Gatlinburg. But that first Christmas that my aunt and uncle went out of town, it was just my mom and I. And she was kind of really sad about it. And I'm like trying to figure out the timing of when it would have been. That might have been the first year that my ex and I were together. But anyway, maybe it was the year before. I don't think so, though. I don't know. But she was like, well, what do you want to do for Christmas Eve? And she was like, do you want to get like, you know, do you want me to get like a turkey, you know, like a roast or whatever? I was like, you don't need to go to do all that stuff. Like, that's ridiculous, you know, for just us. And so I said, why don't we start some new traditions? I said something like that. I can't remember. So anyway, she was like, okay, what do you want to do? So I think she did, like, for Christmas Day, I think she got like a turkey roast or something like that and made like, you know, just a little bit for all of us. But for Christmas Eve, she ended up going to get Chinese food. And there was this restaurant that used to be right by where we lived called Chinese Dragon, I think that's what it was called. And so she went and she's like, well, I don't even think the Chinese restaurant's going to be open on Christmas Eve. I was like, yes, it will be. And she was like, no, I don't think it will be. And so I was like, well, why don't we just get Chinese food for Christmas Eve, and then we'll light a bunch of candles and we'll watch some of our favorite movies. And she was like, okay. So we ended up, and that became, did we do that maybe more than once? Maybe that's what it was? I don't remember. God, my memory is bad tonight. But anyway, I remember she was so excited, and so we used to always, like, my mom and I, our thing, so, you know, over the years, my Chinese food has, like, what I would eat has changed, and when I was not a vegetarian, you know, I would eat, like, you know, General Tso's chicken, and, like, crab meat rangoon, and things like that, but back then, I ate egg rolls and mugu gai pan, that was it, and white rice, and so I remember my mom got a bunch of, you know, carry out in the little white containers, and she was so excited. She was like, oh my God, I went in there and it was packed. I couldn't believe it. Like, the Chinese restaurant was so packed. There were so many people in there. And then I remember we sat there and she made like real strong coffee. And that had to have been before my ex and I were together. So if that were the case, it would have been, he and I got together in June. Well, it couldn't have been, because my ex and I broke up. My ex and I broke up in February, and then he and I got together in June. So that Christmas we would have been together. I wonder if it was our first Christmas together because he would have been with his family on Christmas Eve, because he and I didn't move in together until a year after we started dating. So he would have been in Seymour. I bet that's what happened that first Christmas. So that would have been the first Christmas, which means that would have been like 2001. So anyway, I bet that's when it was. It had to have been then, yeah. Because after that, we spent every Christmas Eve and Christmas Day together. We spent every holiday together. And we would do like half the day in Indianapolis, and then we would drive down to Seymour. So we watched, my mom and I, we got the Chinese food, and then we watched the two Thin Man movies. We used to love the Thin Man series with Nick and Nora Charles and their dog Asta. We loved that series. My mom introduced me to it. And one of them takes place on Christmas Eve. And so, Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, I think it's Christmas Eve. And, do you guys know who the Thin Man was? So the Thin Man were this husband and wife, and they were like real rich, and they lived in this building in New York City, and they were like detectives, and they're always drinking martinis and stuff. And those black and white series, I still have them at home, the VCR tapes of it. My mom and I used to watch those back in the day. I loved it, and the little dog is running around all the time. So we watched that, and then I remember we took a walk, and we came back, and we watched, my mom used to love to watch the Pope do the Midnight Mass, and so we would watch that. We took a walk, and then we watched the Midnight Mass, and then I think I went home, and then came back the next morning for Christmas Day. I didn't like to stay, there was not really any place for me to stay there except for on the couch. So when my mom got into the condo, I didn't really ever stay with her again until, obviously, until she was sick and things like that, but because she would always say, why don't you just let me make a bed for you on the couch? And I'd be like, Mom, I just want to sleep in my own bed at home. So, yeah. I have good Christmas memories, When I was a kid, Christmas was just really, I have a few horrible Christmas memories where drinking of my mom's got really out of hand. One year it was really bad with my mom and my dad. It was the first Christmas that my parents had been separated or divorced, I think separated. And my mom got belligerently drunk and got very angry at my dad to the point where he had to, I don't even know why to this day they tried to do it, but I think for me, they tried to have my dad there, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And I remember my dad left, and it was me and my mom there. And then my mom, cussed out my aunt or something, and then she left. They left. I remember my aunt was really upset, and it was just me and my mom. And, my aunt stayed, and, I remember, maybe she was still there. I don't remember. But, either she stayed or right after she left, my dad's nurse came. And my dad had talked to her on the phone and said, I'm coming to get Peter. And so I went with my dad's nurse. My dad had a nurse that worked for him for I swear to God, I just looked over, my heart just jumped about through my chest. I just looked over in it's these grounds that are on this church, this weird church, and it just goes forever and ever and ever. And there was this tree, and I swear to God, I thought it was this guy just standing out in the middle of this field. But anyway, my dad had this nurse that worked for him for, 20 years. And she really helped out a lot with me when I was like growing up. Like when my mom, like if she couldn't do something, like pick me up from something, my dad's nurse would pick me up and stuff like that. She was awesome. And she was like part of our family. So she picked me up. And my mom loved her too. And I remember like them at the, I just remember my mom being like, I'm sorry. And like, I just went with the nurse. And what's weird is, like, this is a kid's conception. I was like, I hope my mom doesn't break my toys. I can remember thinking that. And also what was weird was, I've told this story before because I remember telling this part of it. So I would spend like, with my dad, I would spend like the 23rd and part of the 24th, and then I would come back to my mom's on like the 24th. So I would be with my dad like all the 23rd, and we would do Christmas together. And like, so if we would do Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, like our Christmas Eve would be the 23rd, and then 24th, the morning would be Christmas Day. If that makes, do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay. So we would like have Christmas Eve on the 23rd, and then Christmas Day we would open presents and stuff. Well, so then by like 1, I would be back at my mom's house on Christmas Eve. So I remember that like we were done, and so like my dad was probably thinking, well, I'm not going to see Peter again until New Year's Eve weekend or whatever, in the week. So he had already gotten rid of his Christmas tree. Well, my dad had taken the tree and pitched it in the woods. He was on the 3rd floor of his apartment complex, and it was this live tree, right, that he had gotten, and so he just pitched it into the woods behind the Christmas tree. So I can remember, I got to my dad's house and the Christmas tree was gone. Well, it had just been there the day before, and I was like, what happened to the Christmas tree? And I remember, I think I saw it out in the woods or something. I can't remember, but anyway. My dad's not like, my stepmom, she really gets into the holiday spirit, but my dad, he could care less. He would never put up a Christmas tree. I mean, he just wouldn't. He's just like, it's just too much work. Oh, shoot. I forgot that this is all detour city through here. How did I get through here the other day? I don't even remember. I can go all the way around. But yeah, if it was up to my dad would never decorate anything. He could care less. He totally just did the tree for me. Okay. I don't know what that means. Do you ever read like detour signs? If I go this way, it's road closed too. So I don't know how to get through here. I guess go through here? I don't know. My belt has literally been cutting into my skin for about an hour and a half now, and it's driving me crazy. But that Christmas was really bad, and then I remember another Christmas that was not great. But other than that, my Christmases were really magical. I remember one Christmas my mom and my aunt got into a pretty bad fight. But I was an adult when that happened. That was when I was with my first boyfriend. And, but them getting into a fight was nothing. I mean, they got into fights all the time. So, like, but I remember my mom was very confused. And she was, like, really upset. And my mom, sometimes when she would get upset, she would start crying. And then it got, like, nasty. So, anyway, it says I can turn left here, but I didn't think I could. I thought this was one way. Well, I guess it's not. But anyway, but other than that, I mean, I had really great Christmases other than that. But I think it was always she never knew. Like, Caroline and I would joke, like, okay, you got your mom, I got mine. Because we never knew what was going to happen. On Christmas, it could be horrible. It could turn out horrible. We never knew, you know what I mean? So, now how did that police officer just go through all of that construction? He straight up just went through all that construction. I don't know how he got through there because it's all closed off. But yeah, I had like amazing Christmases too. Like when we were growing up, I remember, we would do Was it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? I do not know what is wrong with my memory today. But we would do Christmas Eve or Christmas... I feel like it was Christmas Day night. Maybe it was Christmas Eve, though. I don't know. My aunt would have the holiday party, and everybody would come over afterwards, and Caroline and I would be sitting there on the couch listening to all the adult conversations. And my aunt used to have these glass kerosene, like, lamps, and they were so pretty, and I used to be obsessed with them, and I would just sit there and watch them for hours, and she'd have a fireplace, you know, going, and it just was all of it so magical. And I think the reason I can't remember is because I think sometimes it was Christmas Eve, and I think sometimes it was at the end again. I think sometimes it was Christmas Eve and sometimes it was Christmas Day. So I think, like, I feel like the party must have been Christmas Eve because we would have the dinner. No, because my aunt and uncle would go to, like, church mass when I was growing up. So it had to have been Christmas Day. The party would have been Christmas Day night. I feel like it was Christmas Eve. Like, my gut tells me it was Christmas Eve. I'm gonna have to ask Caroline. I'll call her tomorrow and ask her. Oh my God, this is closed off here too. It's ridiculous. I feel like, was it Christmas Day? I feel like it was Christmas Eve. Like, my gut is telling me it was Christmas Eve. And, because it would be like everybody would come over and everybody would be dressed up. And the reason why I think that is because I equate Christmas Eve to being dressy. Christmas Eve was always very, very dressy, like with my mom and my aunt. Like, we would dress up. Like, even as a little kid, I would, like, wear a tie and, like, a sweater vest or, like, a tie and, you know, slacks or whatever. And Caroline would have it on, like, you know, pretty dress or whatever. We dressed up a lot for Christmas Eve. And I feel like maybe we went to church earlier and then had dinner. I don't know. No, we went to church afterwards. Maybe I only remember going to church a couple years with them because we didn't usually go to church on Christmas Eve. Which I think is so funny that my mom was so, like, involved in the church and we didn't go to Christmas Eve on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. But I don't really ever remember going as a kid to those services, but my aunt would have, people would come over and they would stop by and then it would go real, real late. That has to be it because I can remember that year that, yeah, it has to be Christmas Eve because the year that my mom put our car in the ditch, my grandma was with us and my mom had been drinking that night. And it was late. Like, when we got back to the house, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. It was really late. And because my mom had literally been, like, on the side of the road waiting for somebody to come pick us up. And I remember this family came and we got in their car. My grandma was so upset with my mom when we got back to her house. My mom remembered that till the day she died. My mom, that was, like, one of the things that she regretted her whole entire life. And she would say things to me about it. I'd be like, Mom, come on. Like, 13 years, you know, well, short of 13 years of sobriety truly made up for all of that. And that wasn't even, like, that big of a deal, you know? But I remember us, like, being, like, because it had, like, snowed and, like, kind of, like, was kind of icy outside. And my mom, like, skid off the road. And when it put us, and it was just kind of like we weren't hurt or anything. We were in the ditch. She couldn't get the car out. And I remember we went back to my mom's house. Or we went back to my house I was growing up in, and my mom was like, okay, honey, like, let's go to bed. And I don't think I put out, like, cookies for Santa that year, and I was real upset. Like, I was thinking, like, Santa wouldn't know because I didn't put out cookies and stuff and milk for him, because I always did that. And I remember, like, we came into the kitchen, and my mom, like, immediately, like, opened a beer or something, and I remember she was, like, drinking immediately as we walked in there and had lit a cigarette. And my grandmother was like, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to call the car place? Are you going to call this? Are you going to call that? Whatever. And my mom was like, Mother. And my mom was real sweet. And she, like, put me to bed. And she was like, Santa's going to come in the morning, blah, 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 whatever. And then I can remember my grandma came upstairs. And when my grandma would stay, she would sleep in the same bed with my mom. Because, like, my mom had this, like, California king bed. And so my grandma went in there, and I remember she came in and said, like, good night to me, and then she went to bed. And then, like, my mom, like, I could hear her down in the kitchen talking on the phone, but I can remember I couldn't hear what she was saying. And then, like, I was, like, wide awake. Like those kind of situations, I would always, like, I was like alert, you know? But what's funny about this, into this part of the story, is I remember my mom having, like, I remember her having been drinking, but I don't remember her, like, intoxicated. And there was a difference. And I knew when my mother was completely intoxicated and not. And she wasn't that time. And, because that was, after that, I just talked about this on here not too long ago, but we stopped having Christmas Eve at my aunt's house. We started having Christmas Eve at my mom's house and Christmas Day at my aunt's house. Which isn't that a good alcoholic thing to do? We don't take a look at the fact that the drinking might be a problem. We take a look at that it's New Year, it's Christmas Eve. We need to stop having Christmas Eve so that she doesn't have to drive home. That's the problem. It's not the drinking, that's the problem. You know what I mean? God. I'm sure my mom and I laughed about that at some point later. But anyway, I remember my mom came upstairs and we had this closet at the end of our hallway, and she had been hiding presents in there, and I wasn't, like, you know, I guess I didn't know or something. And then she also had, like, Christmas presents in her bedroom, and she would come out of her bedroom, and I could see her, like, carrying these presents, and she was, like, weaving down the hallway and down the stairs, and she carried, like, every present downstairs and put it out like Santa Claus had come out. And then the next morning, and that was the year that I found out about Santa Claus, that there was no Santa Claus. Because I'd seen my mom put out all the presents. And the next day that she acted like Santa Claus had put all those presents out, because my mom probably, her memory wasn't that great from the night before. And, you know, she probably was like, oh, Peter had no concept, you know, whatever. When in reality, I saw that my mom was Santa Claus because she was, you know, carrying the presents down the hallway right in front of me as I was watching. And I remember I acted like I had no clue. The next day when she's like, oh my God, look at what Santa brought you. I was like, oh. That's what you do in a good alcoholic family, you know, you play act. I always kind of knew though, like from a young age, like, I don't know how to even make sense. I don't even know how to explain this, but like I always kind of knew that, like I knew my mom could stop if she wanted to get help. Like I knew that. I had this girl that I went to elementary school with. I don't remember what, maybe third grade, maybe fourth or fifth grade. I don't remember, but it was young. And her dad had gotten sober. And I remember like we did this thing where we would like share like really great things that had happened. I don't know how I remember this, but this is like stuck with me since literally that class that this happened in. I can remember the girl's name and everything. I've always thought like I would like run into her dad or something, but I don't know. But anyway, she stood up in class and she said, my daddy had problem drinking, and he used to drink every night and we didn't like it. And something to this effect. And then she was like, and he went to a hospital and he got help, and my daddy hasn't had a drink, and it was like something like 6 months now. And she was like, and he got help and he goes to meetings now, something like that. And she was like, and he hasn't had a drink in 6 months. And I can remember thinking about that. And my mom, I can remember having that shit talked about, like not drinking anymore and whatever. And I thought to myself that maybe my mom could do the same thing. That was third or fourth, fifth grade. And I conceptually understood what this girl was talking about. I understood it at that time, right? So when we talk about kids not understanding drinking and things like that, that's just not the case. Kids get it. Kids understand it. They know what it is. I understood at a very young age what all of that meant. I understood it was a problem. I understood that my mom drank more than other people. I counted drinks from a very young age. I understood, and what I mean by that is that like I would watch and see how many times my mom went and got a drink, whether we were at, you know, my aunt's house or our house, or if we were at, you know, a restaurant, my mom, how many drinks she would order. I counted drinks because I knew once it hits a certain amount of drinks, there's gonna be problems. Like I knew that. And I would even say, like, I mean, in third grade or something, I would say, don't you think that you've had enough? Or, you know, she would say, you don't tell your mother how many drinks she's gonna have. But I knew, like in my head, right? So, I mean, that's pretty scary when you talk about developing a codependent at that age. there just was never any rhyme or reason to it. I think that was the thing that was the hardest, you know. Because as I'm sitting here and I'm telling you 3 isolated stories, I mean, you know, that I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself of all of, like, the magical Christmases that, you know, like, my mom and I started this saying, like, there was, like, 2 Christmases where we walked, and that the walk was pretty bad, but every year we would walk, and we would hold hands, and we would walk down the street, and we would, you know, tell stories, and, you know, talk about things that we were, like, you know, whatever. And when we were sober, we did it, you know. We would walk outside in the snow and the brisk air, and we would talk about what we were grateful for the year before, you know. And my mom and I once we got sober going forward, like, Christmas was super magical for us, because, you know, we would go to these parties and stuff, and we would just laugh afterwards and just tell stories about, you know, like, whatever. It was like, it was never, you know, a negative thing after that. It was always just delightful and fun. And, you know, I was showing today in my review video this advent calendar that my aunt made for Caroline and I. She made one for Caroline and one for me when I was growing up, and, like, that was Christmas for us. Like, I mean, my aunt's house was just magical. Our house was, like, decked to the halls. I mean, I had a Christmas tree in my own bedroom, and, you know, this little Christmas tree I would put up, and, you know, I would make the ringlets with paper, and my mom would let me do everything on it, and I put little multicolored lights, and I would sleep with it on at night. And, you know, my mom would come in there, and we would listen to, like, Fibber, Mickey, and Molly. We would listen to, like, the Christmas stories, you know, and all, you know, just, there was so much magic that occurred, you know, and, like, making Christmas cookies together, even though they were burnt, you know, or whatever, listening to Christmas movies or Christmas music and watching Christmas movies. And there's so much that I remember that was fantastic, you know. But there was a sadness there too, I think. And I think that was the thing, is that my mom always medicated her sadness with drinking. I think she was extremely lonely. I think she was terrified of the world around her. I think she was terrified of living in a house alone. I think she didn't really ever know. I think she felt like it was a huge thing to be a single mother, and I think she was scared of that. I didn't know at the time that I was growing up how scared my mom was to live in the house that we grew up in, but later I found out, you know, she was really scared to live in that house. She didn't like it. Okay, I was moving the beanbag, and I shut the camera off. But, like, you know, I had no idea, like, how scared my mom was to live in this house. I think that part of it was, for me, or part of it was that she didn't tell me when I was growing up, because I think she didn't want me to be afraid in the house. You know what I mean? Like, I think she didn't want me to be as afraid as she was. But she really was afraid, you know, and later she would tell me that. And when I wasn't there, she was really, really afraid, you know, and the house sat back in the woods. It was a large house, and, you know, it was, they had designed it to look old inside, so it was wood floors and window seats and creaky windows and things like that. And, you know, I was thinking about this the other day. We had, like, this, it wasn't necessarily stained glass, but it was, like, paned glass, and, like, the door and things like that. And, you know, it just, I just think it was a scary house. And the other thing was that the lots between the houses were far apart. You couldn't hear if you were screaming in the house. You couldn't have heard it in the house next door. And, you know, she would say stuff like that to me. I would think, you know, who thinks this way? You know what I mean? But, like, she just was scared. And my mom was a person that had a lot of fear in her life anyway. She had grown up with a lot of fear. And I think it carried over into her adult life. And I do believe that my mom was genetically an alcoholic, but I also think that she drank because it took away the loneliness, I think, or made her not think about it as much. I think she drank for a lot of the same reasons that a lot of people drank. You know, she wasn't unique in that. I also think that one of the things that had to happen, and I really believed this, is that for a long time I've believed this. I don't believe that had my mom not moved into the condo, I don't know that she would have got sober. I think she had to get out of that house, number one. I think the house had too many memories for her. And I also think that it was too big and scary for her. You know, she got into the condo, and although my mom kept on drinking, I mean, I didn't really see her for that first 6 months because my mom kept on drinking, and I would see her at, like, isolated situations, or I would stop by in the afternoon if I knew she hadn't been drinking or whatever. But I made it very clear I couldn't be around people that were drinking, and that included her. And, you know, she would say, "Oh, Shirley, you can't meet me." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I absolutely mean you." And I really don't want to go all the way out on this country roads tonight. I don't know why, but I'm talking about scary stuff, so I'm going to turn around here and go back into the little city area a little bit. But, you know, she would say, well, surely you can't meet me. And like that at the beginning, I was like, if you drank, I can't be around you. I can't be around anybody that drinks. Because the last time I got sober, even though I didn't know if I was going to be sober a month from then, I was taking it pretty seriously. Like the things I was doing, I was, to some degree, the things I was being told to do, that to some degree I was doing them, you know? So they told me I couldn't be around people, places, and things that, you know, reminded me of drinking, and my mom was one of those people. Anyway, this is gonna be a long vlog tonight. I didn't think that when I left the house. But anyway, by the way, this Dr. Pepper is so good. And I should be listening to my audiobook, but it's not like I can get it all done now anyway, so. And I'm kind of enjoying talking about all this stuff. But when my mom moved into the condo, like after she got sober, she would say things like, this condo is perfect for me. It's like the perfect size. Like I feel very safe here. You know, I love she didn't love her neighbors, but she would say like, I love having neighbors so close to me. You know, she just felt very safe, very safe. It was small. I mean, our condo is small. And, yeah, I mean, she wasn't afraid anymore. So, I think that needed to happen. I think that had she got sober and she still lived in that house, I think all the memories would have been there. I think it would have been hard to come home to. I think she would have been afraid in, you know, small space and things like that. And, you know, while we say in recovery that geographical changes are not the solution to our problems, and I believe that moving from one state to the next is not necessarily, or one city to the next, you know, one city to another city, it's not necessarily going to solve our problems. I do think in this situation, I don't know, I think it helped my mom. You know, I think like going into halfway houses and stuff can change people's entire, you know, life because they are in a supportive environment, you know. I don't know. For my mom, I think that her being in a place that she felt safe, in a place that was small, I think really made all the difference to her. This house back here is set way back and it is so gorgeous. I love that house. But I think it made all the difference for her. I don't know. I just don't think that she would have been. And I have a lot of friends of mine that are in situations like that. I have a really good friend of mine that, you know, she had been sober for, you know, a couple years, and she'd gone through this horrific divorce, and she lived in the same house that they were married in and whatever, and she had a lot of anger and animosity, rightfully so, you know, and resentments. And it's like, she ended up getting a new place, and it was like her life changed. And I'm like, I do think that some of that stuff really does make a difference, you know? You know, when I was like at my mom's condo, before it was my condo, and I didn't really change things around, because like Caroline was the one, she's like, you need to go in there and change everything around. I mean, I have some of my mom's artwork and like a few of her pieces of furniture that I've always wanted anyway, but other than that, like, it looks completely different, you know, like, now it does. There was a while when it didn't. If you walked in there, it didn't look a whole lot different. But like, I've gotten rid of like a lot of her furniture and taken down a lot of the stuff that she had and whatever, you know. But I don't necessarily have negative memories of that place. Like, I've only, if anything, I have like positive memories. I was thinking the other day about, I used to go over there because my mom, like, the streets in the neighborhood are like really nicely done. And I used to, but where I lived in this apartment complex, it was like not, it was like bad roads. And I used to go over there in the summers. This was when I was really in shape, and I would rollerblade. I used to love to rollerblade, and I would like rollerblade all around that neighborhood, and then I would go swimming in the pool. My mom and I would go swimming like late at night, and my old roommate that she and I used to live with, she would come over. I think she and I would rollerblade together sometimes, and then we would all three of us would go and like get in the pool with my mom like at night, because my mom loved to night swim, and it was so much fun. We used to do that. It was really fun. I was saying that to Alex the other day. I was like, I was so grateful that my parents were, both my parents, but especially my mom, was somebody that loved to swim. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves, no offense, and I know I'm offending somebody right now, but when you go to a pool and like parents will never get in the pool with their kids, it's like my mom was always in the pool with me as a kid. Like she loved to play games in the pool and swim laps. She'd like, okay, I'll race you, and you know, and stuff like that, and jumping around, and she'd go off the diving board and all that. She loved all that stuff, you know. And I think, like me as an adult, loving to swim just as much. Like, I mean, whenever I go on a vacation, one of the things I can't wait for is to see the pool and get in the pool. I love that. And I think a lot of that comes from my mom. Now, my dad, he doesn't really, when I was a kid, he would get in the pool a lot. Today, he doesn't. I mean, sometimes he'll say to me, you know, like, if it wasn't for, like my stepmom's like nieces and nephews and stuff coming over, this belt is literally cutting into my skin. If it wasn't for my aunts or my stepmom's nieces and nephews coming over, that he's like, I wouldn't even open the pool in the summer. I'm like, Dad, come on now. He's like, well, it's just a lot of work. I wouldn't even open. They have all these trees that hang over the pool, and so he's constantly having to clean out the leaves from the trees, or the leaves from the pool. I'm like, Dad, if that's the worst of your problems, you have it pretty good. You know what I mean? So anyway, he's like, I just cement the whole thing over. I'm like, Dad. He's like, it's just a pain in the ass. He's so funny. Oh, man. I'm gonna call this vlog a really short vlog. Whenever I'm vlogging, I always think of a great title for the vlog, and now like I sit down and I put it together, and I can't for the life of me think of like the title that I was gonna, like that happened to me yesterday. Like when I was like vlogging, I was like, oh my God, that would be, like in my head after I said it, I was like, that would be a good title for the vlog. Because I'm trying to come up with new titles, because I think I've repeated some of the titles like 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, 11 times, 12 times. Oh, my mom and I, we used to watch, that was one of the shows we used to watch back in the day, Happy Days. With, what's his name? I can't even think. My brain is gone tonight. I can't remember anything to save my life. And then they had that spin-off, that Joni Loves Chachi. Penny Marshall, wasn't she in Happy Days? She was in Happy Days. And the Fonz. Who was the guy that played the Fonz? Well, I can't think of his name. I mean, I am like losing it. Other favorite Christmas movies. Okay, I love this Christmas movie called Hobo's Christmas, which is about this guy, and he's, like, he hasn't seen his daughter, I think it's his daughter, or maybe his son, I don't know, daughter, I think, forever, and he's like a hobo, and he comes home to visit for Christmas, and that's why it's called the Hobo's Christmas, and, like, they have this, like, horrible relationship. I love that movie. And then I like this movie called, oh my God, Season of Miracles. Okay, that is one of my favorite movies. And that girl, I don't know what horror movie she was in, but she was at Horror Hound Weekend. Her name is like Gia something, or Gina or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? She was in Spy Kids. But she's also in some horror movies, but I don't know which ones. But she was in Season of Miracles. She played the aunt, and Laura Dern played the mom that was drug addicted, and she was like in this treatment hospital thing. Anyway, and so the kids had to go with her. And she ends up in this town, and they act like they're staying at this house, and she acts like she's the niece of this real rich woman that like had died, and she left her this house. And so they stay there through Christmas, and the neighbors, these two like nosy neighbor ladies, they bring them cinnamon rolls. And I used to watch this movie every year on Christmas, and so I would always make cinnamon rolls on Christmas Eve. These big cinnamon rolls, because I, you know, watched the movie, and of course I had to have the cinnamon rolls. And I love A Christmas Carol. I have to say that I have my favorite versions. Patrick Stewart is not my favorite version. I love the George C. Scott version of it. But my new favorite, I know this is going to sound crazy, but my new favorite is the Jim Carrey version. That's like Pixar. I don't know why, but it's so beautifully done. I love that. Oh my God, how could I ever forget Polar Express? I love Polar Express. It's one of my hot chocolate. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I think it's so, you want to talk about a magical movie. It is so incredibly, I think Christmas should be magical. And I think that that movie is just done so beautifully well. It's just done so beautifully well. It's just so beautifully done. Let's see. one Christmas memory or something. It was with Angela Lansbury, and she had died, and I can't remember who was the woman. That Patty Duke Aston is actually in Season of Miracles. She plays the Christmas angel on it. She's great. She's really good in it, actually. She's really funny. And so I can't remember who plays. It's not Blythe Danner, but it's somebody like that plays but it's Angela Lansbury, and she and her husband own this like town, like general store, and their son and daughter-in-law like ran it into the ground, and it's going bankrupt. So it's Christmas season, and so she like goes in and has this dream. She gets hit or something, and she has this dream. I can't remember how it happens, but anyway, and she like dreams that she's with them again, and they're like telling her all this kind of stuff. She's got to save the store and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, there's that. That was a made-for-TV movie that I love. I love Box of Delights, the BBC special. A lot of the mainstream ones I haven't even seen. I've never seen Elf. I'll have to watch it this year. I've never seen the Santa Claus. The Santa Claus, is that with Tim Allen? I'm not a big Tim Allen fan. I'm going to pull in here and see who played the Fonz, because for the life of me, I cannot remember who played it, and that's driving me crazy, and I can't believe I cannot remember who played the Fonz. I can see him in my head as, like, in a serious role, and I don't know why, like, I can't figure out who played him, and it's driving me crazy. And I know as soon as I see it, I'm going to be like, Peter, you've lost your mind. What else do I love? Oh my God. Okay, there's this one. I can't remember. Christmas Comes to Willow Creek. I think that's what it's called. And it's with the guy that was in the Dukes of Hazzard. Do you remember him? And that one is really, really good. And what's another one that I love? And that's where like they like are in this blizzard or something, and they have to take this semi. That one's good. I love any kind of blizzard movies. There's one with Julie Andrews and this guy, and they get stuck in this cabin on Christmas Eve night. I really, really like that one too. Or maybe it's like the week before Christmas or something, and then he finds her like on Christmas. I really liked that one. I watched that a couple years ago. I don't typically like watch new ones. I watch like the same ones that I've watched over and over and over again. I just thought the battery was flashing. I was like, if I talked that long, the battery is flashing. Henry Winkler played the Fonz. I don't know how that just came to me. Henry Winkler played the Fonz. Can I not turn on this street? Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Oh, yes, I can go this way. He also played the principal in Scream. Okay, that was the serious role in my head that I was seeing. The principal in Scream. That's the serious role that I was seeing. What are the other Christmas movies? Oh my God, well, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. I love that movie so much. Oh God, Prancer, which takes place in Indiana. If you've never seen Prancer, it is so fantastic. I like Christmas movies that make you kind of believe in the possibility of miracles or magic. Like, I love that. Like, you know, what if? Like, you know, but what if? Like, I like that kind of, you know, movie. And Prancer is about this little girl, and she finds Prancer, the reindeer, and she like keeps him and like feeds him and stuff like that. It's really, really cute. And while I was saying that, I was just thinking of another one. What was the other one I was just gonna think of? Prancer. Fat Albert's Christmas is one of my favorite cartoons. I love Charlie Brown's Christmas. What are some other... Oh my God, I love this Christmas... so some of these are my favorite Christmas cartoons, like TV shows. Well, of course, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the claymation one. I love that one. And I love the Burl Ives voiceover and that narration. I love this one called 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and it's with these mice, and they have to fix this Christmas clock, or Santa Claus won't come to their town. I love that one. It was one of my favorite ones as a kid. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, Christmas bells are ringing, Santa, Santa. I don't know how I remember that, but I do. I can't remember a name, but I remember that. And then... oh my God, Miracle on 34th Street. But I really like the original. The new one's not bad, but I really, 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 really like the original. That's a fun one to watch on Thanksgiving, actually. A couple years ago, I watched that Christmas with the Cranks, but I just didn't think it was fantastic. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't like my favorite Christmas movie. They remade Black Christmas. Did you guys see that it's coming out? The horror movie. I know I'm forgetting a Christmas movie that I love. There's like one that's like right there. I can see it, and I don't know what it is. I have all these Christmas movies down in the basement. I don't know. So many. There's so many great Christmas movies and Christmas cartoons. What are some of your favorites? Put them in the comment section below and let me know what they are. You guys, I literally have no idea how long this vlog is now, but I think that it's long. So, I mean, I do know it's probably longer than an hour and 20 minutes or something. So, this might be one of my longer vlogs I have done in a long time. Oh, it can't possibly be 2 hours I've been vlogging. Could it possibly be 2 hours? Oh my God. Well, you know what that means? If I did a 2-hour vlog, that means that one of these days I could do a 3-hour vlog, like people have asked. So, anyway, I'm gonna get off here now. I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, don't have other plans. Enjoy your Sunday. You're exchanging a day of your life for it. Life is not a dress rehearsal. The battery is dying. It just started dying. Oh my God, that's so funny. I have actually vlogged for an entire battery because that battery was charged full. So anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday. Do something fun today. Do something different. Make the most of it. Put the work aside. Watch a movie. Watch a Netflix series. Get your priorities straight. Hang out with some people that matter to you today. Spend some time with your loved ones. Spend some time with your dogs. The stuff that seems important really isn't that important. Put it to the side. You can get to it on Monday. And I think we spend a lot of time prioritizing and focusing on things that just don't matter sometimes. It was a good day to spend with my family today. I love them, and I feel honored and blessed to be a part of their family. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you say to yourself, I love you. You are important. You are valuable. You matter. You matter. And believe it in your heart. Believe it in your soul when you tell it to yourself. Be your biggest cheerleader. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how important they are to you and how much they impact your life. We should all live our lives with a little bit more compassion, kindness, and love. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!